Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beauty School Bobbi podcast. Today, I am here with a very special guest. I'm here with Elizabeth Faye, and Elizabeth has the longest bio or like I have so many things I want to say that she does. The highlights are that Elizabeth is the founder and CEO of Hair Love University. She's the creator of the Vitality Project, which we just learned about, and I'm so excited to talk about today. She's literally changing the way that we talk about mental health in the beauty industry. Before it was super common and accepted to talk about these things, was already on her own journey of figuring out what the industry needed for mental health. So she is such an asset. She also has gone viral with her TEDx talk. So if you haven't watched that yet, we'll put that in the link below, or the link down below, so that you can go watch that, because it's really incredible. And to get to know who she is as a person, maybe more than you'll get to have a time for on this podcast. So definitely go check that out. But welcome to the show, Elizabeth.
Hi. That is a little true. I have a long bio. Basically, a hairdresser turned life coach. There you go.
Yes, in the simplest way, yes. So thank you so much for being here with us today. After our conversation on Friday, my wheels were really turning about all of the things that you brought to the industry, things that we kind of had a moment to chat about that we didn't figure out until, I say like later in life, but we're not that old, but that we learned these things at, beauty school student age, 18, 19, 20 average, that really could have helped us in our career. So I want to ask you, was it more of life happening to you that made you kind of take these steps, or did you kind of always know that mental health, like care for other people, was going to be the path that you took?
That's a really cool question. So I have a few answers to that. I'd say a little bit of both. I grew up with a dad my dad and my grandpa are both teachers, and my grandpa was actually a teacher like in high school. My dad, he did like blue collar work, like I don't know exactly, something with the pipes in the ground for the city, right? Like, I don't know exactly what he did. I know that he came home really dirty every day and wore a blue jumpsuit. And at night, he was a yoga teacher and he led hikes.
Wait, what?
Yeah. My dad.
Okay, wait, that's amazing.
He's like actually the coolest. He's at our hair love retreats. So he's a mountain man. He trades beads. He hosts rendezvous. He takes people into the mountains and teaches them. He loves plants. Like he knows every plant, what it does. It's medicine. And he's a yoga teacher. And so he's like super spiritual and awesome. But I also grew up Mormon. And so I grew up with these people in my life who were of service to people all the time, whether it was religion, whether it was outdoors, whether it was like through events or helping youth. Both of them helped the youth. They helped their community so much. Like I grew up, like my grandpa was always hosting cook-offs, campouts, helping the youth, like took in kids. Like I was a troubled kid who lived with a bunch of different families, was a high school dropout. Like I had a really crazy childhood and I lived in a lot of different places and drugs and running away and self-harm and just like a lot of things. But, with that being said, I watched people be of service to other people my whole life. And so I think that part was engraved in me, like this idea of like helping other people with like whatever it is you have and like sharing that. So I think that part was innate for me. But I think the awareness of like health and wellness or spirituality or mental, emotional, physical health, that came like, yes, I had some good examples in different ways, but my family also had like a lot of trauma and a lot of challenges and we didn't know what to do. And I think it took like a lot of very painful experiences in my life to kind of bring me closer to like, I need tools. I need education on this. Like, like falling on my face, whether it was single mom, high school dropout, financial challenges, losing jobs, like whatever it was, building a business in our industry. And then my health crisis, which I had a big health crisis, which led to me going full-fledged into wellness. That really like, I feel like slowly like woke me up to the importance of it piece by piece. So it wasn't really one thing. It was kind of just like life experience over time, but I always had good examples of service. And then being a hairdresser, I watched and witnessed the experience of like, we're service-based providers, but like really what it does beyond the service. It's like we make people feel heard, seen, and loved. Like it's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that I don't know if you've this experience because I'm sure when you're teaching, like when you tell your story, I think a lot of people will be like, oh, yeah, right. Like, okay, like she's never, but like when you tell your story and you're like, no, I have been through this stuff, I think that that credibility is so helpful. Do you find that the people that like cross your path are coming, because at this point you've met a lot of people, do you find that you kind of have very similar experiences with people? Like people have
Yes.
come to you that have been like, oh, I had this exact same thing happen.
Yes. I feel like, and in different settings, I might share more vulnerably than others, kind of depending
Mhm.
on read the room, what feels
Right.
appropriate. But I mean, like, I feel like in our industry, we attract creatives and we attract these people who want to give back to people in some way. Like they want to do something with their hands, whether it be skin, hair, nails, some sort of beauty or wellness. And so they're called towards people or art, or they want to like, find a craft where they can find themselves in. And I do feel like, a lot of like feeling stupid my whole life and dropping out of high school, or, my past experience with drugs and running away and abuse and just like my whole wild story. Like I've never told a story ever in a room and not had like so many people like share. Like I feel like we're all so similar in so many
Mhm.
ways. And, our experiences, I always say this, like trauma isn't measured. It's not like, this is bigger and this is smaller. Like it's all just experiences that we get to go through and heal and come from. But I feel so many similarities in so many
I tell the
ways.
students all the time that like you'll be shocked about who, even just like in beauty school when they're taking clients, like you'll be shocked who comes into your chair and like, oh, I was supposed to talk to this person because I've had this experience, and then I'm able to help, and like seeing them get to do that at such a young age and like such an early level in their career is so special, because I know that after doing this for a while or being like more mature, you're like, oh yeah, this is how it happens. But for them to know like what you're going through right now is so hard, but I promise you, like, if you stay on that and you put in the work, like, you're going to be able to help so many people because of this. And I know how healing that is, to be able to be like, oh, I helped people from this. It was worth it. I would do it all over again if
Yes.
I knew I got here. I think
Yes.
that hearing it from other people, especially somebody like you who has had so much success and stuff too, is helpful to them. Just to say, like, there's life on the other side of
Oh
this,
my
like
gosh.
what you're going through is not forever. I tell the students all the time, like, I wouldn't go back to years in my 20s, like for $1 million. Like, I wouldn't go back. You're in like
Yes.
the hardest part of life,
Yeah.
and but it's also the age where you think you're supposed to like have it figured out. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's so hard. And I just like love the idea of, them getting to see you and to know that like you haven't just had this like perfect path that just led you to where you are now. There's been hardship in that too.
Yeah. And I think that what has changed my life and really helped me is I had mentors at a young age that helped me, whether it was beauty school teachers or it was a lot through the salon, like my first bosses and like being an assistant and getting mentored by them. And sometimes it was through books, I was like CDs, I'd put in my car, but like now that might be a podcast or something like that, where these people maybe didn't know they were my mentors, but I couldn't afford to coach with them at that age. And
Mhm.
so I was like listening to everything I could get my hands on. And really the idea, and this is my words for it, but call it whatever feels good to you, is everything's a sacred opportunity for transformation. And so whatever I'm being initiated into, it actually is an initiation. Life is not happening to me, it's happening for me. And when I can lean in and say, okay, what's here for me? What am I being taught? What do I need to grow through? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to expand my mind around? That creates a lot of ease, even in times of pain, of like, okay, I'm literally being turned into a version of myself that can hold my future dream. So if you're going to be, a stylist or an owner or a teacher or buy a house or have the love of your life or make a certain amount of money, you have to be initiated into the type of person who can not only make that type of money, but manage that type of money and be a good advocate for it. And so each of these things is pieces. They're like breadcrumbs. And when you can just trust where you're at and stop waiting to be somewhere else. Because when you get there, you're going to wait for the next thing and just really be in the journey. I was literally telling my husband this today. I was telling him about something specific in my career. And I was like, I really thought when this thing happened, I would arrive. And that would be like it. And I go, man, I did that for so many years. Like I kept being like, when this happens, I arrive. And I would do it with motherhood or my house or my car or my friendships or my health. And I was like, it's really such a reminder, like life's a journey. It's not about, right? It's like that false peak syndrome. You think you're at the peak and there's another freaking peak. Like it's all just the journey, and there's views along the way, and like just being where your feet are at and trusting like my feet are exactly where they need to be. And like, there's something here for you now, you know?
Yeah.
And so that has helped me a lot.
That is so big. I think especially if you can remember back to like graduating from beauty school, right? And like being like, I did it. Like I did beauty school. And then you're like, oh, I just came into a salon and I'm starting over. Like,
yeah, it's a new hike.
a new, like, and you're like, wait, I just did the really hard thing and I passed my state board and I got the job and I whatever. And like, I think that is so important to remember, because that's exactly how we think about things. Like we're just on to the next thing. But knowing that like, okay, well now I'm starting at the salon and I'm starting in this program, and yes, I'm new, but this is just a new journey. Like this is just part of it. I think is so valuable. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it helps because you're not waiting to arrive. You've arrived. If you're here now, you've arrived. If I can be in the present moment, I have arrived, because that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. And that's all there really is. And you'll always, as soon as you make, you'll be like, oh, well, when I get the clientele, then you'll get the clientele. And then you'll be like, oh, when I get an assistant. Okay. And then you'll get an assistant. And when I make 100 grand, well, what about when I make 200? Well, what about when I'm this and that? And that's beautiful. It's your evolution. It's your growth. And so yeah, just try your best to enjoy it.
Recommendation in that, is there like a practice that you have, or are you just like thinking about how to do? I mean, what do you do to like say, okay, I'm here, and like acknowledge that? Cause like, I mean, for a lot of us, our brains are moving like so fast on to the next thing. And so in this industry where you're scheduled, and where you're like, oh, my next client, like I mean, for me, even just doing like admissions and meeting with people, I look at my calendar in the morning and I'm like, okay, I have this, I have this, I have this. And I'm already on to the next thing. Like right now, I still am like, okay, so when I get home, my daughter has gymnastics and we're doing, you know what I mean? We're always in it. So what can we do to put some things into practice that are going to allow us to do that more, to be more present, to like be where we are?
Yes, that is such a great question. So I'm going to give you $1 million answer. This answer has changed my life. It has changed my body. It has changed how much money I make. It has changed me as a mother. It healed literally like things I was going through in my life on a lot of levels. And it's the only reason I'm still with my husband. And it is the only reason that I'm able to continue to scale my business, because you just add more things to your plate as you grow and evolve. Learn to meditate. Learn to have a meditation practice. And one of the best tools to learn to meditate is breath work. And so meditation is a state. A meditative state is when we can be with ourselves, we can be with our bodies, we can be with our emotions. Sometimes it looks like stillness. And, part of the creative process, so when you're in a creative process, which we're always probably in the creation of something, but there's this state called flow state. And anytime you've ever been in flow state, let's say you're writing something or painting or creating or ideas, and you're like, wait, they're flowing. And you're literally like, oh my gosh, oh, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to figure it out. Right. Maybe, Bobbi, this might be relatable for you. You start to teach a class and it just comes and it's flowing and it's easy. As you start to get good at the service you're learning to do, whatever beauty or wellness service it is, you'll get where it's flowy. Like you don't even have to think about it anymore. Maybe you've cooked before or danced or sang, and you kind of get into this state. A thing that I do when I get a massage, I go into a meditative state. I'm neither awake nor asleep. I'm in this kind of like flow state, and it's almost like things can flow in and they can flow out, and I'm not monkey minding. Like, my mind isn't like trying to figure out, force, fix, none of that. And I can drop into my body. And so we have 4 bodies. We have an emotional body, a mental body, a physical body, and a spiritual body. And meditation takes us out of the mental body. And so we always are in our heads trying to figure stuff out, fix it, all the things. When we drop into that state, we're more connected with our feelings, our intuition, our creativity, that like more ethereal part of ourselves, that more somatic part. Somatic means your body, that's your soma. Your psyche is your mind. And so we live in a very mind heavy world, right? It's just like, what do I think? What do I think? What do I do? What do I do? Right? Instead of like, how can I be? How can I be? And being, you would think wouldn't be so damn hard. Sorry about my French, but like you wouldn't think it'd be that hard to be. But when you're going all the time, sitting down to be still can feel like the hardest thing to do. Relaxing can feel hard. Enjoying a vacation can feel uncomfortable. Really receiving a compliment can feel weird. And we have to think, well, that relates to us receiving clarity, receiving money, receiving support, receiving help, really settling into the body. And so the reason I love breath work is if you breathe long enough, you will drop out of your head and into your body, and it gives you something to focus on. Focus on the breath, follow the breath. And so the breath is the bridge to higher consciousness. And if you begin to breathe, what happens is you regulate your nervous system. And when your nervous system is regulated, which we all have a nervous system, think of it as like the CEO of the body. It's like your sensing system. Your nervous system is how you feel and experience life in yourself, whether that be anxiety or enjoying it and feeling present. And when we're used to a dysregulated nervous system, because we're not taking our emotional body, our spiritual body, our, all these other parts of us to the gym, right? Through meditation, just like we go get our physical body stronger. This is like taking that part of ourselves to practice to regulate that nervous system. It's foreign to feel these things. It's like, I don't even know how to feel them. And so with practice, just like working out, you get stronger. Your body learns how to regulate. And so dysregulation would be fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Maybe you've heard those things. And so regulate is when you feel really safe in your body. That's the state of presence. You're here now. You're nowhere else. When you are having anxiety, you're somewhere else. You're future pacing, fear, stress, something that's coming in the future, where in the present state, you're just here. And it is a practice. Oh my goodness, how many years I had to practice till I got good at it. And I keep it up just like the gym. If you get really buff and toned and you stop going, you're not buff and toned forever. But it's a practice that feels so good eventually. And even within a few minutes, at first you're like, I don't want to do this. And that's why I love breath work, is because it will regulate your nervous system. And if you just did it for 5 minutes a day, it would actually change your life. And it would begin to teach your body it's safe to be regulated, to know regulation, to know presence. So that's my $1 million tip. It has changed everything for me, and it's free 99.
Yeah. No, you incorporated this into the Vitality Project. Like all of this is available in a program where beauty schools can actually like purchase this whole package that you have, or this whole curriculum that you have, and actually make this a part of beauty school, like, which is so incredible, because there's so many things that you like want to focus on from state board, and make sure you get your cutting class, and make sure like you deciding like, you know what, this is important enough. And then other brands getting on board to support that, I think is so amazing. And I really think that this is, I've seen other brands do it in a different way. What I love about what you're doing is it's so practical. Like imagine had this been available to you in beauty school, like what a difference the chaos could have been if everyone could. Yeah. Like, I'm just thinking like, if we all could do that and like implement this, like all of our lives are going to be easier, not only better, like physically and all that from like curing the anxiety and or helping the anxiety and stuff, but like just the way we interact with each other, I think is
huge.
So amazing. So I want to ask you, as far as this being something that you implemented into the beauty industry, why is it so important for us specifically, whether you're an esthetician or a cosmetologist or a nail tech or a barber? Like, why do you think that this industry needs us so bad? I mean, you're fighting for this. You created something so big. I mean, you're putting time, energy, like you believe in this, which I think is amazing. Why do you think this is an industry that needs us? Why is it so important that we have this?
Yeah. What I'll say is later watch the TED Talk. You'll learn a little bit about me, but I share the big idea of what we do is bigger than a service. And what we do is, it's not the haircut, it's not the polish, it's not the fade, it's not the facial, it's not the massage. it's the way we make someone feel. And I share how I got into the industry, which is just like the most beautiful, wild story that blows my mind to this day. And I share how that stayed with me. And it was the way a hairdresser made me feel was the long story short. He ended up mentoring me for good grades on a report card. I was a punk kid. I was sent away to different schools and families. And he ended up mentoring me to do my hair for free if I would bring in my report card from 12 to 16 years old. And I looked back as like a grown woman and being like, why did that work? Like, why was that the only thing? Like, trust me, lots of people tried lots of things. Like, church, school, counselors, therapists, sending me away. Like, I mean, the list goes on. Like, why was that the only thing? And it was the way I felt. I felt heard, I felt seen, and I felt loved. And I thought, wow, what an impact it is that we really do. And I shared for years as a business coach when I was business coaching. This is why it's important as a beauty professional. You make a lot of money and you know how to run your business well. So you get to do the thing that actually matters. Because when you're worried about all these things for 30 years of your career, right? At the beginning, we're probably a little concerned about cash. We're working on it. We're building our clientele, but we're building up our wealth, right? And I'm like, it's important that you have financial literacy and you learn to do that so you can do the thing that matters most, which is making someone feel heard, seen, and loved. When I did a hair class, I would say, this is why it matters that you're good at your techniques and you practice and you put in the reps so you can actually focus on the client, right? And not just be worried about the service. And even more so with the work I do now, this is why it's important that you are well and you are whole, because you cannot do the thing which you actually do, which is holding space for other people, if you are not well, if you're not taking care of yourself. And we give a lot to people. And so it's important to learn how to take care of ourselves. It's important to learn, how to regulate ourselves, how to protect ourselves, how to, energetically, emotionally, mentally, and really fortify ourselves physically in all these different ways so we can have sustainability in our career. We can enjoy it. We can love it. We can do it for a long time. And there's no reason, like, this is one of the most abundant industries in the world. Like, the beauty industry and wellness industry are some of the fastest growing industries. There's no reason why this cannot be a lifetime career for you that makes a lot of money, helps a lot of people, changes lives, all of the things. But if you do not take care of yourself, there will be an expiration date on your career because you're helping other people for a living. And so when I went through, different certifications and trainings and all the things I do now, I learned a lot of tools in the room with therapists and healers and doctors and life coaches and yoga people, all of the things, how to protect ourselves. And energetically, emotionally, when we're holding space and learning different practices. And that was where I started, as I started bringing in wellness tools and really just like protecting ourselves and regulating ourselves with my clients. And I mean, I have a big education community. And so that was able to reach tens of thousands of people. So we got to really see that it was not just impactful, it was completely career transformative. And they're simple tools. They're not hard tools. But without them, we actually can have some pretty big problems. And so it's a simple solution, but also a very, can be challenging over time in the career doing it. And they're just important human skills to have in general, right? We think we're in beauty or wellness. We're actually in the business of people. And so when we have emotional intelligence, when we have tools for mental, emotional health, physical vitality, spiritual vitality, we have more health and wealth, well-being in our lives, which does affect our wealth and our success. And so, I'll sum it up with this. You can have 99 problems. When your health is a problem, you have one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's prevent that. Let's prevent burnout. Let's prevent these sorts of issues that don't need to happen.
Yeah. And I think like it's so good for us to be able to have these tools like individually, but I also know that you have this other world as well through Hair Love where you really support a community. The members there get to work with each other and lift each other up and all of those things. Like you've done amazing things about people doing this as well, because I think one of the messages, one of the things I want to talk to you about specifically is that experience of finding people that might not be in your circle every single day. So meaning maybe you're in a salon and you're all on board for this. You're like, I love this program. I did the Vitality Project when I was in school and blah, blah. And somebody next to you is like, oh, what is that? Like, that's stupid. Like, why would you do that? Like, you're going to face this, right? Like there 100%. Are going to be people that are like, just going to want to like put you down about this. What I want to encourage young beauty professionals, or even if you've been in the industry for a while and you just have like, find your group of people, like
Yeah.
find your cup of tea, find the people that are thinking like you and are, because I feel like that was sustainability in this industry. I've like never successfully said that word, by the way, every single time. I have to say it 2 times, sustainability. Like every time. But I think that when we're talking about longevity of careers as well, this is just as important. You've taken care of this as well. Like Elizabeth Faye, like just doing it all, like having this community also, like I really encourage, I want to talk to you about what the experience is like to go to a place where maybe you show up knowing nobody and you find people that are just on the same page as you, and why that is so important. I think that I struggled for a long time of just thinking like, I was just some weirdo who like had these big dreams and these big goals, but like then imposter syndrome and I can't. But then like when I stepped outside my box, and it happened, like I think originally like from doing this podcast, like meeting different people and going to different places, whether it was like America's Beauty Show or just filming somewhere else and being like, oh, you're like me, like you are like me. And it's so good. And you can't, it doesn't mean that you have to like leave and run away and go to that, or maybe it does, maybe you end up moving and going to a salon. But talk to me a little bit about what the experience is like at one of these retreats and why it's so important to seek out the people that are like you.
Yeah. So community is really important for our mental health, our emotional health, all of our well-being. So community is a key part of any education initiative, program, event. Anything I do has an element of community because it's a human need to belong. And I'll say this, if there are naysayers in your life, there's always naysayers, right? Some people don't like ice cream and tacos. What in the world? But that's fine. We love you and that's fine. But I also think the world is evolving. Consciousness is evolving. We're all starting to move in the direction where we're like, hey, taking care of the earth is cool. Hey, being inclusive is cool. Hey, having healthy and wealthy lives is cool. I think we are moving in that direction, and life experience will get us all there, if not, right? And so we catch up and go, oh, wait, going to bed on time is actually very cool, right? Having deep relationships is really great for me. So community is important. Belonging is a human need. Loneliness can actually make us sick. And so we're not meant to be an island. We're not meant to do things alone. And you can even be around a lot of people and feel lonely, right? Because you're not having connection. And connection is an important part of your vitality, which is why in any of my work, I'm not just teaching mental health and mindset shifts. We're teaching all of it. We're teaching mind, body, and soul, that whole mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, because you have 4 bodies and they all impact your vitality. And when one is positively impacted, the others are impacted. And so our social vitality is very important. So it's how we belong, how we relate to other people, and how we're in community. And so, starting to connect with other people is huge. There's a concept I love. It's actually a musical concept. I aspire to be more of a musician. You might not be able to see that, but I have an instrument back over there.
What is it? What are you trying to play?
So I do sound bowls, which doesn't make me a musician by any means, but we do chimes and bowls. We count it. That's a kora. It's an African harp. And so one of my teachers is working with me, more like a personal practice, but I'm sure I'll bring it into my retreats and stuff for breathwork and meditation. But long story, we digress. So if you are in a musical store and there are 3 guitars next to each other and you pluck the string of the guitar, the other ones will start to vibrate. So they are impacted by that frequency. It has what's called resonance. So it impacts. So frequency is actually amazing. So I teach a lot about heart-led leadership. This is in my work as well. And so the heart is amazing because it actually has an electric magnetic field up to 3 feet away from you. And we have so much science. Like I lead with a lot of science in my programs because I never want anyone, if they're cynical or they have questions or they don't know these things or whatever, I really want to give them, their mind, the information it needs to then drop into the practices and the tools. But you are literally felt. It is measured up to 3 feet away from you. People feel your vibration. And so the heart puts off that electric magnetic field. So you're felt before you're heard. You're felt before you're touched. You're felt before even anyone talks to you. And so that what we emote, what we give off as our frequency other people will have either resonance or dissonance with. So when you are in a room of people who are like-minded, and I don't mean like-minded, like we got to look the same, talk the same, have the same backgrounds. I don't mean that at all. It could be a room of people, different ages, colors, belief systems, all the things, but they share a like-minded commonality for a greater good. So let's say that's the mission of, I'll use your school, Bobbi. You guys have a mission at your school, right? So if all the teachers, all the students, for the most part, are unified on some sort of vision for excellent education, a better industry, making an impact in the world, changing lives, that has a certain vision. And when people are like-minded in that in community, it creates resonance and it actually amplifies that feeling. So if you've ever been in a conference, a keynote speaker, a workshop, a retreat, even church, right? Like something, you can feel that frequency and it'll move you. You might cry. You might be at a concert. You've felt this, right? In nature, like whatever you like to do. And so it'll amplify that and you'll be like, wow, and it grows. And so resonance is actually really important. It's what takes something from idea to a movement, right? When a bunch of people come together with an idea, it creates a movement. It actually starts to create a ripple effect of change. And so being a part of a salon that you resonate with their values and mission is actually very important. It's going to amplify your values and mission. If you are a part of a school, it's the same thing, where I'd say maybe it's the big brand name school. Maybe it's the mom and pop. It really doesn't matter. What matters more is that you have resonance with who they are and where they're going and the teachers. And so that's what community does, is when we gather around ideas or concepts together, whether it's a little 1-hour class or a retreat or whatever, and you can build communities as beauty professionals, wellness professionals. I teach this. You're hubs for community. People literally gather in barbershops, salons, spas. Like, you are a hub for community. And I teach people like to view their clientele as a community and to really collaborate with people. And I think that's the new way of leadership. It's very healing. It's powerful. So start to pick those people out who you see and want to emulate or be like. Invite them to go to lunch. Invite them to go somewhere. If someone doesn't invite you, build the table and invite other people. Don't wait to be invited. Like, pull up a chair or pull a few chairs out and invite people. And I think that you'll be surprised how other people want to be a part of it too. They're just afraid to ask, right? It's like so vulnerable to be like, be friends with me, play with me, collaborate with me.
Yes, for sure. I love that. And I think it's really important. I mean, that comes with time and there's confidence with age, I think, for sure, to feel more comfortable to do those things. But I think, like you said, like, most people in this industry are so willing to help and like want to give back, and they want to like make it easier than it was for them, kind of thing, like they want that. And I think like just the ask is really important. And I always am like, if they say no, it's not awkward unless like you feel like you made it all, you know what I mean? Like, it's on you. Like, don't let it bother you. Just be like, oh, they said no, move on, like, so I think it's important just to like put that out there to try, because I know it can be scary. I have one question or one more question I want to ask you. If there is somebody that's listening that's thinking about going to beauty school, what do you wish that you would have known? What do you wish, like a skill or something that, I don't want to say work on, but something that they can prepare for? Is there something like prior to getting into beauty school that you would say, like, set this intention, or no, like just get whatever it is, like whatever advice you have that you think could prepare somebody a little better than maybe you were prepared for it? What would that thing be?
Great question. I would say if you want to go, you need to follow the nudge. So I'll start there before I share what I would share. But we have these intuitive knowings of where we need to go. And usually if someone's like, well, and I'm not bashing on college, but like, right, the traditional route is to like go to college and then they're like, then do beauty school after. And I'm not saying that's bad nor good. I'm just saying, if you know where you need to be, trust that, because you'll probably go to college and then decide you still want to go. And you could have been doing your thing sooner. So I'll say that, like, just listen to your inner knowing and like trust that there's something here for you and you don't really need to figure it out. You're going to learn it as you go. But the thing I would say is not anything to prepare. I would just say come in super open-minded and with a commitment to your own growth. Like really show up like this is your dream life you are creating. Show up to class on time, show up and ask questions, fail a lot. Like don't be afraid to get messy, like call on your teachers, like really like this is your opportunity to get your degree, your diploma, the certification, right? And the thing that you want to do, treat it like that. Like just take it, seriously and just really like show up for it and make the most of it. And I think a lot of people, whether it be imposter syndrome or fear or stress, I know it's stressful. I know I was in a very stressful state going to beauty school. I like literally didn't know how I was going to put gas in my car. I was sharing frozen like McNuggets with like my roommate. Like it was tight and I was going through a lot of trauma in my personal life. But when I walked in the doors there, like that was my place to like show up and give back to myself, to really be like, I'm building the life of my dreams now every single day. And it was a beautiful experience for me. So you get to decide, like no teacher can do that for you. No other student, no other circumstance. Like you decide, take your power back and change your own life. There's no reason why you can't do that.
I love that. I'm like going to play this every single day as people are coming in the building and be like just holding an iPad with your face on it saying
show up for your dream life because that's what you're doing.
I know. And there is this weird thing that we talk about. Like it's not real for everybody, but it's very real for a lot of people. But there is like this curse of beauty school where it's like you have it all planned out and like summer's great and like you're finally quitting college and coming to this and you think you've got it and your job's good and then your car breaks down, your job, whatever. Now it happens. Like we're like, here it comes, like they'll come in and I'm like, I know it gets so hard. And like you said, like let this be the place where you show up for yourself and you like not for everyone else and not for whatever you've paid to go to school or whatever, like show up for you. Like this is the positive. And that is one thing that I wish like students really got. But I think again, these are things that like can sometimes come with experience, like listen to us. But I know that sometimes I have to like live through things to learn it. Like I'm just one of those people, like it has to happen to me to learn it. You can tell me 100 times. And I do think that that's such a great message because again, it's going to get hard. It's not like it will inevitably, even if everything's perfect when you start and you've done all the things, I've got childcare worked out and all the things, like it will get messy. But I think just like knowing that this is the space. Yes.
Yeah. And it is the space that you're pouring into yourself and it's your initiation. You said, I want to be a professional in the beauty and wellness industry. You're going to be initiated with the tools, the fortitude, the awareness, and the capacity that you're going to need to build a clientele and make a lot of money. And it'll feel easier after because you work through a lot of these things in school. But each season comes with its own, right? Peak to climb and to just really like sacred opportunity. What's here for me now? Who can I ask for help? How can I lean in? I'm showing up for my dream life. Messy and all, failing and all of it. Like, let's go. Like, it doesn't need to be perfect to be profound.
Yes, that's so amazing. And I love that message. And like I said, I think that that's so important for young stylists, people coming in the industry, thinking about coming in the industry to hear. So thank you so much for that. And Elizabeth, where can we follow you? I know you're doing so much. Where's like the one spot that we can keep up with what you're doing? Where can we find you?
Yeah, I think the TED is a great thing to watch. It's 5 minutes. It's just inspiring, has a really beautiful message that relates to us all. So if you want to link that. And then 2 places. I have my brand, Hair Love University, on Instagram or the website. So just Hair Love University. There's lots of free stuff, paid stuff, just vibes that you can explore. And then if you want a little bit more of the wellness side, a little bit more of my stuff, I have my personal brand, Hey Elizabeth Faye, on Instagram or my website. And you can kind of go down and there's free stuff, paid stuff, all the things. You can kind of just explore and see what's your vibe.
That's awesome. Well, we definitely will check that out. We'll tag everything again in the comments below. So thank you so much for this. And thank you for taking time to record with us. I'm trying to think because there's been multiple people. I met you briefly at America's Beauty Show. Kia Neal and I were talking.
Yes.
You were walking by and Kia was like, Bobbi, do you know Elizabeth? Do you know Bobbi? Like go. And we like walked out and like we had that moment. But somebody else recently was telling me about you and they were like, you just like have to connect with her. They're like, like, you guys like need to talk. So I'm so thankful that we were able to do this. I'm so thankful for everything you're doing for beauty school students through Vitality Project. I'm pumped to be able to like look back on this and be like, remember when we had to start with this? Because I'm just really hoping that this becomes so much a part of our practice in life that I'm going to be like, remember like 10 years ago when it was like crazy to have this and it was not, like, and I think that the trajectory is going to be that this is something that hopefully our kids are going to, manage easier than we did. And again, the industry as a whole. So I'm just so thankful for you.
Thank you for seeing the vision. Thank you for seeing me. I see you. I love your energy. I love what you're doing. I had a few people as well be like, you guys need to connect. So stars aligned, and just so much love, and yeah, all the things.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And we will talk to you all next time. You guys, make sure you are like, subscribe, rate, all the things that you need to do to keep this podcast going. Check us out at beautyschoolbobbi.com and listen wherever you find your podcast, watch on YouTube, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.